Figure it out!
Hello, this is Adam Koralik with FigureItOut Productions. The following video is part of our Quick Shoot series.
Hey guys, so I got a few packages here, all from retrotowers.co.uk. This is an awesome store in the UK that I'll talk a little bit more about in a minute. But anyway, like I said, I got all three of these things from there, and I know what they are. And these two you will not get to see in this video. You'll have to watch my episode of Playload that comes out at the end of this month if you want to know what I got here. But the only clue I'll tell you is these are some European exclusive games. So I'll put this off to the side for now. And here we are, we'll focus on this. So rather than just go give you a bunch of information now, I'll just go ahead and open this straight up for you, and then we'll talk a little bit about it. Let's go ahead and rip that open there. And attach the bubble wrap. And here we have the Super UFO Pro 8. Now this is a flash card for the Super Nintendo. You guys might remember recently I did a Turbo EverDrive video. It was a flash card for the TurboGrafx 16 that plays every game ever made for that system. This is a very similar idea as compared to this is the Super Nintendo Super EverDrive. Basically the same concept, every game ever made for that system, and you play it all on the actual legitimate hardware. This is basically the same concept, except it has, my understanding is it can do other little tricks and things, including it's apparently, and I haven't tested it obviously, but apparently it supports save states. So yeah, what I think I'm going to do is I'll just go ahead and do a review of this thing, and we'll just see how it works. And again, like I said before, I bought this at retrotowers.co.uk, and as a special a special gift to all of you, to anyone watching this video, any fan of mine, if you go to retrotowers.co.uk and you buy anything, this or any other item on that website, and use the code ADAMK as a coupon code, I'll put it right here, ADAMK as a coupon code, and you get 5% off your order. No matter what you buy, 5% off. You're welcome. Okay, I figured before I get into this thing I would give you kind of a quick unboxing. So first we just kind of tear the top off, and it just comes up really easily. And then we'll slide out the inside here. And inside we're presented with some computer software. I'm not sure what operating system this works on. Probably variations of Windows would be my guess. Probably not Mac compatible. Manual in English and in Japanese apparently. Because this thing will work on a Super Famicom and on a Super Nintendo. I don't know about a PAL Super Nintendo though. Though I think there is a version of this that is specifically for PAL Super Nintendos. This one says for SFC, which means Super Famicom. And if it works on the Super Famicom, it works on an American Super Nintendo, just because the inside is like identical. But yeah, anyway, taking a look at it, it's a very nice looking unit. Inside they give you a micro SD card adapter. That was cool of them. They didn't have to do that. Yeah, so I guess what you do is you put an SD card in the side like this. Well, obviously this isn't a real SD card, but yeah, it would just fit in like that, and it would have your ROMs and stuff on it. So that's cool. We'll take a look at that more in a second. And then it also comes with a USB cable. My understanding is that you can install some software and connect this to your computer and to the card, and then you're able to transfer games from this to your computer and vice versa, I believe. Because this thing has some built-in storage space. I want to say like nearly 2 gigs, maybe like 1.5 gigs, something like that. And then whatever extra space you add to it with an SD card. So yeah, this thing is, so far it's pretty neat. I'm surprised how high quality it seems to be. It has this little lid thing, and underneath is a board there. Now, of course, this is clearly for other Super Nintendo games. Think of it kind of like the Game Genie, you know, you just put a cartridge on top of a cartridge. This has a couple of benefits. One, this thing can now act as an import enabler. If you have a Super Famicom or a Super Nintendo and you don't want to modify it to be able to play the games from the other region, and by modify I mean cut plastic, you can use this to just fit into either system. It will work on either one. And then put the cartridges of the other region on top of it, and then it'll have an option in the menu to allow you to just play that game. So think of at the very least, this is a very affordable import enabler for Super Nintendo and Super Famicom games, but it does a hell of a lot more than that. You can actually rip Super Nintendo and Super Famicom games to this or to an SD card with this, and then be able to just play them off here from now on. You wouldn't need the actual cartridge anymore. Though, I mean, I'm an avid collector, so I keep my cartridges around. This is just something that's pretty neat and convenient. Yeah, I mean, really, to give you any more information, I'm probably going to have to, try it out, won't I? So why don't I go ahead and hook this up, and I'll play with it for a bit, and then I'll give you some of my initial thoughts. Okay, I've got our good friend, the Super Nintendo, hooked up here, and when I turn it on, we look up at the screen, and you get this cool little menu like that. Okay, so got this thing all fired up. I apologize, I'm recording this on S-Video instead of SCART to component. I wish I could, but I'm having technical issues with that. Anyway, this middle option that's highlighted right now is the SD card access, and right here is the backup ability. So this thing has a lot of features. Some of them I'm not really sure what they do. Sound right here, you can cut off this music and you can turn it right back on. Yeah, right here you can back up things. This is how you would connect your computer with the USB port. This thing is like a diagnostics check system to see how everything's working, which is kind of a neat little bonus. Here you have, a couple of options. These are like Game Shark or Game Genie type of equivalents. And here's where you would also load and save your save state data. But anyway, this first one here that I just clicked on is how you load games. Now, you have three ways of doing that. You can use the SD card, which is what I'm doing here, where you just go and you just find a game and you just open it. It should be noted, and this is actually very important, that you have to have a FAT32 formatted SD card. Otherwise, this thing won't read it. Now, I loaded it with a couple of games. Here I did Donkey Kong Country 2. Now, it doesn't really load as fast as you saw in the video. I actually cut out a significant amount of the load time. You have to just accept that that's going to take a while. But once you get the thing loaded and you run it right off the card, it's no different than running it off an actual cartridge. It'll play exactly the same, and which is awesome. This is one of my favorite games of all time, by the way. I absolutely love this game. But I'm going to turn it off right now. And I'm going to put another cartridge on top. I'm putting on Star Fox, and now we can see the thing booting up here. Now you'll notice it says Diddy Kong's Quest there, because that's still what's in the DRAM. So if I could just resume that game, if it says play DRAM game, it would just play that. Or I could just play the cartridge, and it would just play whatever's on top of that. In this case, it would be Star Fox. Now here's the backup option. You have the option to rip the game to the cartridge, or to the Super UFO. You have the option to rip it to the SD card on the Super UFO. You can also move ROMs from the flash card to the SD card. Now I never really get into that, but I do show you right here how to back up the game onto the SD card. So you put in the title, which I put in Star Fox, and then you just tell it to go. Now it takes a long time to do this, and again I'm going to skip past a lot of that loading time, so that didn't really go as fast as it looked. And it'll rip the whole game to the SD card. Now, please understand that Star Fox and all the FX games are kind of special cases. They do not work on this thing unless you have another FX game on top, and only certain FX games will do that. So I'll load up Star Fox and play it right off the SD card. Again, I'll cut out the load times here, and it's going to work because there's an actual copy of Star Fox attached to it. Now I know that sounds really stupid, but if this was a different FX game attached to the top, it would use the FX chip inside of that game to run Star Fox. But not all FX chips are exactly the same, and I haven't found any combinations that actually work to make another FX game work. I tried here. You can see I put in Super Mario Kart, which is also an FX game. So I put that one in hoping that that would run, but it doesn't. So here you have the option to just play cartridges, as I'm just pointing out right there. Now, again, it'll just play the game normally. If I just put in the cartridge on top and hit play cart, it'll just play the game, which is exactly what it's doing. So that's pretty good for, imports, and I just wanted to show that. Now, resetting it again here real quick. Let's see, what should I do next? I can show you a little bit more of these. Yeah, okay, I'll show you a little more detail about these Game Genie codes. You basically just go in. I'm not really sure what the codes are or where to get them. And then that's I don't know how the save and loading data thing works yet. I haven't really figured that one out. Anyway, if you go to this option, the listing option, you have the option to delete or rename files. So for example, the Star Fox I just, made, I'm going to delete that because I have no reason to keep it there because I have an actual cartridge of it. So that way your card or your UFO thing doesn't get, all bogged down with extra crap on it that it doesn't need. Yeah, so let's see, what can I do here for you? I'm gonna try playing another game here. Let's try, what do I have here? Sorry, this thing badly labels things. I don't like that. But anyway, I'm loading I'll load Super Mario Kart. I actually put the ROM on here as well. Now the ROM is going to work, but it's only going to work because I have another FX game attached to it, just like with Star Fox. However, in this case, the FX game is Super Mario Kart. So what I've got on top is Super Mario Kart, which is the only reason it's working. I tried mixing and matching, and it doesn't work. Like right here, I tried loading it with Star Fox on top, and it doesn't work. It doesn't load. And the reason for that is their FX chips are just different. Now, I don't know how many FX games there are, and I don't know which ones are going to mix and match. And I know until you find a combination that works, that it seems pointless. So yeah, here I put the cartridge back on top, and then I loaded it off the DRAM, just to prove again that when you rip a game to this thing, it'll stay on there and it'll be in what's called the DRAM, and you can rip it and you can play it as the most recent title. Now, it just happened to be Super Mario Kart, and again, I put the cartridge on top to show that working. The other thing I want to show you, which is pretty cool, is this thing's ability to play imports, as I mentioned before. Now, here's a game that was never released in the United States, and that's Super Back to the Future 2, which this thing detected somehow that it uses Game Genie codes. I guess it has some built in already, and this is one of them, one of the games that has them, and that's Super Back to the Future 2. So I tried activating them, and it seemed to work, at least I thought it was working, but then when you actually play it, I couldn't really get any of those codes to work. So I don't know what I did wrong here, but yeah, clearly I got to work on that. But yeah, so I cut out a lot of the load time there because, I don't want to bore you guys that much. But man, I wish this game had come out here. The game's like okay, but I absolutely love Back to the Future, man. That's like one of my favorite trilogies of all time. I just absolutely love it. But that's not the point. The point is the Super UFO 8, which I think is a pretty neat little flash card. It's not perfect. In some ways, the Super EverDrive is better, but this thing tries a lot of the things the Super EverDrive doesn't, which is, I gotta give it props for that. So yeah, I mean, really, those are your two choices if you want to get into a flash card. This one is a little bit cheaper. Like I said before, you can get this on retrotowers.co.uk. I believe he's charging $49.99, but that's in pounds, which is like roughly $80 American, $80 Canadian. And like I said, use my name as a coupon code, and you will get 5% off your order. So yeah, I mean, I do recommend this if you want to get a flash card, but in all honesty, I prefer the Super EverDrive over this thing. The Super EverDrive seems a tad more, well, how should I say, less confusing. I guess that's the best way to put it. This thing has too many options to the point of being kind of unsure of what it wants to do. And my biggest complaint on this thing is the fact that you have to pre-format the card, whereas the Super EverDrive doesn't seem to care too much about that. But in short, that's my review. And again, go check out retrotowers.co.uk and pick one up.